As the sun dipped behind the oaks lining Willow Terrace, I flipped the final burger patty on my backyard grill and heard the unmistakable roar of revving engines down the alley. Turning, I spotted Karen Whitmore's black SUV pulling to a stop at my gate. Two hulking men in dark suits clambering out with grim expressions and bulging shoulders. My heart stuttered. The notorious HOA president had escalated from petty fines to muscle intimidation. She waddled forward, sweat dampening her floral blouse, clutching a clipboard and barking, "Your permit for this gathering was denied. Disperse now or face the consequences." My neighbors, perched on lawn chairs with plates full of coleslaw and cornbread, froze mid-bite, eyes wide with shock. I felt a surge of outrage and protective instinct. This was my home. My right to host a simple barbecue, now under siege by hired heavies. My fist clenched as Karen's thugs advanced, but I refused to cower. With a calm I barely felt, I strode to the grill, spatula in hand, and raised my voice. "You're on private property. Leave now." The men paused, exchanging puzzled glances, as Karen glared at me. I caught the click of my phone entering my Pocket Me invitation for backup, sent earlier to an unexpected ally. My friend Carla Jenkins, the newly appointed county sheriff. Minutes earlier, worried about Karen's threats, I'd quietly texted Carla the barbecue photo and location, and she'd promised to swing by in case it gets spicy. My pulse thundered as I said firmly, "Karen, you've trespassed. I'm calling the sheriff." The thugs hesitated. Karen's confident smirk flickered. That revelation grounds for their retreat shifted the balance. Before Karen could snarl a counter-threat, the distant wail of sirens sliced through the evening calm. The bushes along the back fence rustled as Sheriff Jenkins emerged in uniform, badge shining under twilight. She strode forward, eyes locking on Karen, and barked, "Stand down." The thugs froze, then melted back toward the SUV as Jenkins commanded them to leave the property immediately, citing unlawful intimidation. Karen's face flushed red with fury and mortification as her hired muscle retreated. My neighbors erupted into applause and relieved laughter, the tension dissolving like smoke above the grill. The twist legal force trumping HOA tyranny had saved our gathering. With Karen's men gone, Sheriff Jenkins approached me and the crowd, inspecting my grilling setup with a bemused smile. She offered to check IDs and ensure no other disruptions, then winked and said, "Your permit's valid, barbecue's on." Relief flooded me as neighbors cheered and resumed eating, the scent of smoked meat mingling with the dusk air. Jenkins lingered, chatting about neighborhood safety and reminding everyone that no one, not even a self-appointed HOA president, could deputize thugs to enforce petty bylaws. As she departed, a reverent hush fell before the backyard burst into celebratory banter. Kids chased frisbees, elders toasted marshmallows, and the party regained its warm rhythm. The next morning's local newsletter boasted the headline "Barbecue Blockade Foiled by Sheriff," with photos capturing Karen's astonished expression as Jenkins arrived. Neighbors lauded my decision to invite law enforcement, praising the choice to defend personal liberties without violence. Karen, realizing her failure, retreated into the shadows, silenced by her own overreach. In private, she fumed over the $500 bill for the thug's services and contemplated legal action, but few cared to listen. My barbecue had become a rallying point, a dramatic reminder that property rights and community spirit stand stronger than intimidation. What do you think? Did calling the sheriff escalate a backyard dispute, or was it essential to protect our right to gather? Share your thoughts on right and wrong below. Morning dawned over Willow Terrace with the afterglow of collective triumph lingering in the air. As neighbors emerged from their homes, bleary-eyed but buoyant, groups gathered around lawns to compare the night's photos and video captures of Sheriff Jenkins's dramatic arrival. I sipped black coffee on my front porch, finally savoring a quiet moment before the day's flurry of commiseration and celebration. Soon, Mrs. Alvarez and Mr. Singh arrived, plates of leftover brisket in hand, eager to recount how Karen's hired thugs had fled like cowards once they saw the badge. The everyday heroes of our cul-de-sac relished this shared victory, a reminder that unity and rightful authority can conquer even the most brazen intimidation. Yet, the community story extended beyond that single night of drama. Within hours, the HOA board, now chastened and under pressure, convened an emergency session to address Karen's misuse of power. The provisional motion nominated by Denise McAllister, once Karen's most loyal lieutenant, called for Karen's immediate suspension, nullification of all her unilateral decisions, and restitution of any funds she'd misappropriated. It passed by a nearly unanimous voice vote, signaling a broader reckoning with the culture of fear she'd fostered. Signs reading "HOA reform begins here" sprung up on bamboo stakes across front lawns the next morning, testament to the community's enthusiasm for change. To ensure transparency and avoid future overreach, the HOA board invited County Sheriff Jenkins to host a law and order workshop in the community center. That Saturday afternoon, the hall filled with residents eager to learn their rights and responsibilities. Jenkins began by recounting the barbecue blockade drama as a case study, emphasizing the limits of HOA authority and the crucial distinction between private regulation and state jurisdiction. She then laid out practical steps: how to respond to unlawful demands, the proper channels for reporting intimidation, and guidelines for organizing peaceful neighborhood gatherings. The unexpected inclusion of legal education in HOA affairs revealed the depth of our transformation from rebellion to empowerment. Inspired, neighbors formed a new oversight council, elected through an online ballot to represent diverse voices. Retirees like Mrs. Alvarez, young families like the Singhs, renters who'd felt marginalized under Karen's rule, and even a college student majoring in public policy. In its first meeting, the council drafted a comprehensive community assembly charter, requiring any HOA enforcement action fines, barricades, or threats to undergo a committee review inclusive of civilian and law enforcement liaisons. The charter included a clause mandating monthly public forums and quarterly audits by an independent civic watchdog. This structural revolution ensured that no single individual could hijack community processes again. Meanwhile, Karen's retaliatory impulses persisted, though muted by her suspended status. She attempted to file a lawsuit against me for property damage, citing minor scratches on her SUV's fender, evidence of her hurried retreat, hoping to recapture lost power. My attorney swiftly countered with an affidavit detailing her trespass, intimidation tactics, and her original denial of my permit. The court dismissed her claim with prejudice, further cementing her legal defeat and reinforcing the principle that intimidation tactics would face stern repercussions in civil court. In the backdrop of these reforms, a poignant undercurrent unfolded: Karen's own transformation under community service mandates. Assigned to volunteer alongside me at the youth mentorship program, we'd started to foster neighborly bonds. She arrived reluctantly in a neon vest and work gloves. At first, she hovered awkwardly at the periphery, but empathy blossomed in her eyes as she watched mentors guide shy children through reading exercises. Witnessing genuine care and inclusion, Karen's clipped smiles softened. One evening, she approached me hesitantly and admitted, voice trembling, that she had never considered how her fear-based control had harmed lives. I nodded and invited her to stay for the next session. Though forgiveness remained ambivalent among residents, her willingness to learn signaled a turning point. Even the most hardened tyrants could glimpse redemption when confronted with the power of community compassion. Autumn arrived, painting Willow Terrace in hues of amber and gold, and with it came the first Rebuild and Remember Festivalen event, commemorating our journey from intimidation to solidarity. On the green, booths offered history timelines, first showing Karen's throngs of blocked driveways and threat letters, then our bold drone maneuvers and sheriff-led workshops, culminating in the joyous aftermath of renewed trust. A central exhibit featured artifacts. A piece of the clipboard Karen had slammed onto my grill station, a charred spatula symbolizing resistance, Sheriff Jenkins's discarded hat from the barbecue night, and the battered drone that had retrieved the car key. The exhibit wove our story not as mere spectacle, but as a tapestry of collective action woven with courage, justice, and reconciliation. On the festival's final night, beneath strings of Edison bulbs, I took the stage beside Sheriff Jenkins, Denise McAllister, and the 3 young children whom Karen had once ordered to leave their own block party. I addressed the crowd. Our community proved that when the gavel of justice aligns with the roar of unity, no force can silence our rights. We rose not through vengeance, but through creativity, courage, and compassion. And while we celebrate our victories, let us guard against the perils of both fear and spectacle. True strength lies in standing up for each other, day in and day out. Applause swelled, fireworks burst overhead, and neighbors embersaid testaments to a community no longer driven by fear, but by shared purpose. As winter crept in, I reflected on the lingering lessons. That property rights are sacred, that self-appointed power must bow before democracy, and that resistancia drone, a call to the sheriff, even a biplane can be both dramatic and just when anchored in compassion. The barbecue blockade, once a dark moment, had become a catalyst for transformation. Sidewalks repaired, bylaws rewritten, bonds forged. And as neighbors gathered one frosty evening to decorate the Freedom Drive sign with holiday lights and garlands, I realized our tale was more than a local legend. It was a blueprint for communities everywhere to reclaim their spaces, their voices, and their dignity. I closed the festival program with a familiar invitation. Forest your own fences, or fence your forest. Did our flying spat set a dangerous precedent, or was it the spark needed to rekindle neighborly democracy? Share your take on right and wrong below. And as the crowd dispersed amid laughter and shared warmth, I knew our story strange, bold, and indelible would continue inspiring others to stand up, speak out, and grill on under the starry sky.